Tonight on the Joe and Joe Weather Show, a plethora of models will be dropping in. We have the Canadian Gem, and it's a gem. The European, the GFS, representing North America. Also, the Gem 500 millibar and its sexy deep upper trough diving into the east. And the GFS's upper trough, equally as sexy, driving into the east, and the not-so-sexy European with its trough as it progresses through the Northeast in political fashion. These models and so much more tonight on the Joe and Joe Weather Show, brought to you by Omni True Value Hardware, your place to go if some of the more bullish of the models winds up materializing. You're going to need salt and sand and Pelledo and mag ice pellets and flakes. This is what Omni looks like on a nice weather day. Inside, they've got new snow blowers for you. They've got spreaders, shovels, the snow melt products you may desperately need, and of course, tons and tons of rock salt with the lowest prices around anywhere in the tri-state area. So head over to Omni at 1226 North Wellwood Avenue in West Babylon, New York. The telephone number is 631-756-1125, and only Joe Rayo knows the website. And it is
OmniTrueValue.com.
Yes, it is. I thought I'd dress up the show
so how
tonight.
are you tonight?
I'm a little tired. I had a 8 o'clock dentist appointment, so I was up at 6.
Oh, that's right. Aye.
Now, I go every 3 months, and I was supposed to go in December, but because I was in and out of the hospital a couple of times, I had to cancel my appointment. So I called up yesterday because I didn't remember whether I actually scheduled an appointment. I thought I did, but I guess I didn't. And she told me that I hadn't. And she said, how about if you come in at 8 o'clock tomorrow morning, which was today, which was perfect. Boy, I have to tell you, these Blairsville dentists here are terrific. An hour and a half she spent cleaning my teeth and getting every nook and cranny in there, all just shiny and manageable. So then I just had a lot of other stuff to do. I had to take JJ to the dog park. I ran out of cigars. I had to run up pick up some cigars over in the town because we don't have a cigar place. I have 2 cigar places in Blue Ridge, but it's 25 minutes away. And then I had to get gas, and I came home, and I made this. I should have taken a picture of it. I made this gorgeous 5-pound roast chicken in red wine with rosemary and sage and a little butter in there too. And that was my dinner with a baked potato and some spinach. And that's what I did today. So I've been keeping myself awake ever since.
It's interesting. It's interesting because I had for lunch today. I had arroz con pollo.
Oh, you did. That's
Ricky Ricardo's favorite
nice.
Brunch order. Yes.
By the way, I don't know if you saw, but 3 of the actors got nominated for Oscars in being the Ricardos.
So that actually got that actually was considered to be a movie worth mentioning for the Oscars.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, it wasn't. I'm so used to you have to go to a movie theater to actually see this movie.
Oh yeah, not anymore.
All of us just. Yeah.
It's either streamed on Amazon, it's streamed on Netflix, it's streamed on Disney, it's streamed on Peacock, Hulu, whatever it is. Yeah, it's all one big mess these days.
Now, can I take a guess? You said three of the 4 got award nominations for an Oscar.
Yes.
Correct?
Yes.
So I'm gonna say that out of the 4, the only one that was not nominated was the woman who played Ethel.
Yeah, and you know what? From a supporting part standpoint, it wasn't one of the bigger roles, I guess. Plus, a lot of competition in that category apparently is fierce. But J.K. Simmons, who I like very much, he got his an Oscar nomination out of it, and of course Nicole Kidman did. And I forgot the name of the actor who played Desi Arnaz, also got an Oscar nomination. Best actor for him, best actress for Nicole Kidman. So anyway, it was an interesting day all the way around. So anyway, let's talk some weather, but before we do that, just want to say hello and welcome to everybody. A little bit of a late start tonight on the chat board. I am, for those of you who are watching for the first time, I'm Joe Cioffi, and my colleague here, we worked side by side. We've known each other for 40 plus years, Joe Rao. And this is the Joe and Joe Weather Show. And I hope you like the show. If you do, make sure you hit the like button. And if you do that, you could also hit the subscribe button with your Gmail account so that you can watch the Joe and Joe Show because we're on just about every day. Usually we take off Fridays and Saturdays, depending on whether there's a storm going on or not. And Sunday mornings we are on at 11 a.m. Eastern time for a Sunday morning show rather than a evening show. Our evening time is usually at 7:30. Um, so Joseph, what do you make? I think I've never called you Joseph before. That's very interesting. Um, yeah, I know. Uh, they call my Italian relatives call me Jovi. Jovi.
Not Giuseppe. Not Giuseppe.
No, no, Jovi. So
No.
anyhow, what do you think of all of this coming up? I have my own
Well, you
ideas.
were. I mean, you've been talking for the last several days about that offshore system for late in the weekend, and we have to watch it, and we have to be very careful with it. And it would not be at all surprising if it started making a move back to the west. And sure enough, today it did that. The GFS, the Canadian. Oh my goodness, what did the Canadian do? I mean, what got into the Canadian to do what it did, which I'm sure you'll show in a moment. But now all of a sudden, whereas it looked like all of these things were just going to slide on by and either just give us a glancing blow or give us nothing at all. Now we actually have to start considering the prospects or the possibility of some snow here. Although I really don't know how much. We're still several days, more than several days away, and a lot can happen. But it looks like, Joe, that we may be dealing with a system like all the others that we've seen so far. The trend has always been, with time, a push back to the west, and this one looks like it's trying to do the same thing.
Yeah, I the spread on the models today, given that it's Wednesday and we're talking about something that's going to be on starting sometime on Sunday. So we've got Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, so 4 days away. I'm just shocked at the spread on the models in terms of how they all have these differences. Some of them are subtle differences, some of them are standout differences, and I'm not exactly quite sure what to make of it. Uh, if you said to me, Joe, with what you know now, make a forecast, I would probably lean. And I'm gonna get some people upset about this, but I don't care. But I'm gonna lean to the idea that the precip with the coastal low stays offshore, but there'll be some sweaty palms along the way, and that the upper trough will generate some snow, and maybe we get, I don't know, somebody gets a coating to a few inches, if that, and then that's it. I mean, that would be if you said to me right now, make a forecast based on what you're seeing. Uh, but there's so much there. There's so much going on in so many different directions, and I'm just not quite sure how this is all going to manage to play out because of the upstream energy. I don't know if you looked at any of the short-term models because they're starting to come into the range. I looked at the RGEM and I looked at the NAM, and I was I was kind of like, whoa, you know, where is this going to go from uh, from here over the next couple of days? So my final analysis, Joe, is everything is still on the table. Uh, and that includes that we wind up getting nothing at all. Just to put it out there, I'm not. That's kind of where I am right now. I'm just I'm covering all bases.
Well, somebody on the chat board who was our dear friend Tom Contino asking, what is my gut feeling about this? My gut, Tom, I never ask my gut about situations like this because really, uh, as Joe just mentioned, 4 days out, still a lot of time left. There's at least one more 24 another 24-hour time span before we start getting into the nitty gritty. and the models start picking up much better on both the strength and the timing of this particular system. So I think we'll have a lot more to talk about tomorrow night. I think by this time tomorrow night we'll see a lot of the models kind of honing in
We
or
we
ending up on the same
we
page as
would
to what
hope.
this is going to be.
We hope they do.
Yes.
We hope they do, or that we don't wind up waiting till the last minute like we did with the GFS and the Blizzard that waited till about less than 24 hours before it finally recognized that, well,
Well,
there
John,
is an upper low, and
I
there.
think the the main thing that threw everything into confusion with that system, I think, was the NAM going
Yes.
back and forth from one extreme to
Oh,
another.
that
I
squirrely
mean, there was
run
one night
where that squirrely run in
that gave
between
us
that gave
nothing,
nothing. Yes,
right?
that was
And
a comedic curveball that was not need that was not needed. That didn't need to happen. Let's put it that way. It could have just come out the same, or maybe a little less or a little
and you
more. But that was not. Whoever was the comic over where they run the models, that was not a funny joke.
well, you saw what happened when that run came out. Both Nick Gregory, very reliable and a respected forecaster, and Lee Goldberg too on Channel 7, they both said, we're not going to show a snow map tonight. Come back tomorrow night.
Yeah.
And it was timed out exactly when that crazy NAM model run came out, that 18Z run. And I said to myself, gee, I wonder if either one of them looked at the new NAM, which showed absolutely nothing,
I know we
nada.
and then on the next run it went right back. There was some weird stuff.
Right.
Somebody on Twitter, was it Anthony Siciliano? I forgot how to pronounce if that's the proper pronounce. If you're watching the show, Anthony, and I just botched up your name. I'm sorry, but I do see your tweets, and occasionally I think I've responded to you a couple of times. Um, while that was happening, I did happen to see a tweet from him pointing out some of the reasons why that particular NAM run did what it did, and it kind of made sense. But don't ask me what those reasons are now because I've completely forgotten about them. So yeah, we've got. So I'm sure we probably have some roller coaster riding to do tomorrow, and maybe even still on Friday. So we'll see where it goes. But in the meantime, just to for those of you that would like to see more snow, WPC is in your corner, and on their long range forecast, they have a 10 to 30% chance of at least a quarter of an inch liquid equivalent of snow and sleet. So we're just talking about mostly snow. So let's just call it 2 to 3 inches of snow or more. And they have a 10 to 30% chance all the way down into southern Virginia and down over to the Delmarva Peninsula, excuse me, on the south side, cutting across central PA, then from there, north and east up into upstate New York to about Albany on the west side and through the Catskills on the western flank, southern Vermont, I'm sorry, the southern half of Vermont, most of New Hampshire, and most of Maine except the northern part. And that includes, of course, everybody in eastern and southern Pennsylvania to New Jersey to southern New England and Long Island and the lower Hudson Valley and southeastern New England. And in fact, southeastern New England, they've got that darker green 30 to 50% chance of at least three. So it's on their radar. And you've said, Joe, how they probably have a lot of stuff that they look at that we don't get to see because sometimes they do put up maps and you think, how did they? I mean, we've asked ourselves that question a number of times. How did they get to this? Because what we're looking at doesn't kind of match what the map is, and more often than not, they wind up being right. So I'll give them the benefit of the doubt that they that they know something that we probably don't.
Yeah, and don't forget that Sunday is Super Bowl Sunday, and that, while it doesn't maybe fall into the same category as, let's say, New Year's Eve, there are going to be an awful lot of people on that Sunday who are going to be on the road traveling to either friends' house, relatives' homes, or whatever. It's just simply to sit in front of a big screen TV with either a big sandwich or lots of hors d'oeuvres,
Right, Horty Orvies.
or chips or whatever, or just to chow down, watch the commercials, chat. The women will chat with the women. The men will watch the game with some interest or whatever like that. But again, the last thing anybody wants is to have a snowstorm, which would impede upon getting to that Super Bowl party that evening. And unfortunately, it looks now like we may have to deal with something like that. And I don't know how many of you remember, but last year it snowed on Super Bowl Sunday, but it snowed before the game. It snowed in the morning, ended by about mid-afternoon, and so you could have shoveled your way, your driveway, or whatever, out, which is what I did, and drive off. And we went to our little get together, Super Bowl get together at my son's house. But this one looks like, well, I don't know when the time frame is for this. I mean, depending upon what model you're looking at, it might start as early as
Saturday
during the late
night.
morning hours on
It might start
on Sunday, or Saturday night.
Saturday
Yeah.
night after the Arctic front
So
goes by. Or the new Europeans got its, has snow during the overnight into Sunday morning. From the Arctic front, not from any developing low yet, but just from the northeast wind behind the front and the overrunning, light overrunning.
right,
I don't know how real that
right.
is. I don't know how much you're going to get out of something like that, but it is there. Let's just run through. Let's run through what's going on at the moment, because this will be the fastest part of the show tonight. And by the way, Joe Rayo is just feverishly monitoring the chat board for pearls of wisdom from those of you who were there. So if you have any questions or comments, do share them, please. And
And David Fuller hitting the chat, the super chat tip jar tonight already. Thank you very much, David.
by the way, Bone hardly again watches or warnings. Just very few. I mean, we've got what looks like a couple of counties way up in upstate New York and the Adirondacks have a winter weather advisory up. I'm not sure why. Oh, there was some stuff going on there with some lake effect, and also a couple of small patches of high wind warnings in Montana and in southeastern Wyoming. I see a couple of counties in southwestern Wyoming under a dense fog advisory. If you look in Southern California, they've got some heat advisories up there because of the ridge building in the west and a bit of an east wind, which always heats them up over there. So otherwise, it's a snooze fest. And if we look at the satellite, there's really, other than clouds and really just a couple of small areas of precip, it's fairly quiet across the entire United States. It's odd how we went from last week having so many watches, warnings, and advisories, and then it was just poof, just gone. Uh, we were in the other extreme. A little activity here on the radar in the Northeast. Most of it's very light. There's a weak front that's moving through western PA and western New York that will come through, and you'll hardly notice the change in air mass because the air behind it is about the same as the air ahead of it. But there are some snow showers, and as you go further south, some rain showers in there. And around the Great Lakes, we've got some activity, some snow shower activity going on there, and also seeing an area of snow in western South Dakota, dropping down into Nebraska. So the rest of the country there's nothing major here, no heavy rains. Even the Gulf Coast is quiet right now. Florida also quiet. So we'll move on. And we did WPC. So I guess we could go to the new European, Joe, the 18Z European, which,
Yes.
yeah, so
Was
here,
that now? Does it still go out on 90 hours on the
yes.
72 hours on the
Now,
on tropical tidbits?
so on tropical tidbits, we can give everybody a lesson here on Levi Cowan site. So if you hit global, you're going to see ECMWF and EC Fast. Now EC Fast he's got the maps that he's always had. He's moved those down to EC Fast because they come out and he gets them and puts them up excuse me, an hour or so earlier than the ECMWF, where he's got not only the surface maps, but he also has the different upper air maps, precip maps. These are, excuse me, these are maps that we never got to see, but now he's got them up on his server, and he has graciously shared them with us. I would point out when you look at the surface map, this is not rain, okay? This is just this is just precip in the 3 hour periods that we're looking at. So it's just the melted liquid equivalent. This does not show precipitation type. He does not have one of those precipitation type maps. So we've got this weak weather front, and you see uh, the European actually has a couple of showers there, Joe, coming into eastern PA and into the Hudson Valley tomorrow morning around daybreak as the front goes by. And then after that, everything kind of dries up. And then we wait for the Arctic front that approaches on Saturday. It looks like it comes through. I'm looking at this. It looks like it's coming through faster. So I wonder, Joe, are those 50s going to be in jeopardy on Saturday? What do you think?
I don't think so. I mean, I still have 52 for projected high for the lower Hudson Valley. I'm still banking on temperatures unseasonably mild, probably right on into at least the first half of the weekend before they take a tumble behind that system Saturday night into Sunday.
Because it looks like the front at 7 a.m. is like right about there. Okay. And then 1 at 1 p.m. it hasn't really moved very much. It's almost in the same spot. And then it just kind of starts to sag a little bit further south after that. Why don't we do this? I'm going to take a sounding. I think, can I get a sounding on this? Yes, I can. So let's take a sounding at New York City at 1 o'clock in the afternoon on the European and see what kind of temperature it has. And yeah, you're okay. It's 54 on the sounding. And we could take
And
one
you know
in.
what else, Joe, is the fact that if you look at the 500, it doesn't matter either on the GFS or the European or whatever. Here, at 0Z on Sunday or 7 p.m. Saturday evening, the 500 is showing that we're still in a fairly vigorous southwesterly wind flow. So, I mean, it is going to get cold, but I think we have to wait until the upper level winds tilt and turn around to the north and northwest. And that really isn't going to happen until very late on Saturday night or first thing on Sunday morning. Then the cold air drains in and the temperatures go down. But even with the frontal passage or the front being so near to us on Saturday, that southwesterly flow still delivers relatively mild air from places like western Tennessee, Kentucky, lower Ohio Valley into our area. So it's not exactly a cold air flow that we're going to be looking at on Saturday.
Right now, by Sunday morning, the European sounding at New York City has a temperature of 27. And you'll notice it has a weak wave southeast of New Jersey, northeast flow around the high that's up west of Lake Superior. So some of that is just going to be because of the overrunning with as you said, the southwest winds aloft, overrunning the colder air that's coming in at the surface. That is a cold high coming down, and 90 hours is as far as we go. But the issue is, as it always is, but it just seems to be magnified in these cases that we've been dealing with this winter. Is the upper air, because it's been so complicated. And when you look at the upper air here, the trough that's coming into the east is accessed from, there's like a little cutoff low there in northwestern Michigan, and the axis of the trough runs from there almost straight south, split Lake Michigan in half, and go down to about Nashville. I wasn't supposed to do that. Go down to about Nashville and down to New Orleans, and I'll go to the 12Z run because that'll take us out a little bit further, and you'll see what happens here. The European just kind of moves the trough along, and it gets to that sort of neutral tilt, Joe, a little bit too far east, just right around central PA, between basically between 75 and 80, and then it's after it goes by that it starts to lift up. Actually, doesn't even lift up very much. It just sort of slides eastward because if you look closely, there's that little kink there in Minnesota and Wisconsin, that bend in the flow. That's a shortwave coming down, and it's kind of acting as a kicker rather than allowing it. We had that choice. Was either going to be a kicker or was it going to be a lever? And at least in the Europeans' world, it's a kicker and just kind of slides the trough along. I don't know that we would get very much from from something like this. The old run on the surface had some snow, I think, from the upper trough, and you'll see it here. This is during Sunday morning, but the precip with the ocean low is way out and doesn't even get involved. So sometimes with these upper troughs, you could get a coating, you could get an inch or two or three under certain circumstances if the trough is vigorous enough. And this one might be a little bit more on the vigorous side. But the European says that any coastal low uh, goes way out, and you don't get any of that in all of this. And I think that's a possibility. That is a possibility here. I can't completely discount it.
No, I can't either. No, it's we have to wait another day or so. All right, that's hopefully by tomorrow we'll be able to look at these maps and say, you see, this is why. But right now there's such a scattering that anything goes. So, but
Right.
if you're interested in the days beyond this weekend, there apparently is something that has the Climate Prediction Center people interested, and that would be for the period time frame from about the 17th through the 19th of February, and maybe you want to move further along or
Do,
further ahead
do
to
you
see
have
what
do you have the
is
map?
tickling their fancy.
Do you have the map to show their risk
Yeah,
area?
Doug. Yes,
All
I
right.
do.
Okay. So
Do you want
I want to show it now, or we can wait till we get through this thing? Because I promised everybody all the models at the beginning of the show. I teased it,
to?
Joe.
Okay, sure.
Okay.
Sure. Let's
So
let's wait.
so
I'll wait.
So the GFS, and I'm doing apples to apples here because I just showed you the 12Z, so I'll show you the 12Z GFS, which was a little more dynamic, had a little bit more of a stronger southern part of this shortwave, which is why you see this low that comes out of the Gulf and goes east of North Carolina. And it's doing another one of these things where, because it's reacting to the sharpness of the trough, that a low is on the western side of this, where there might be actually even be a small upper low that would try to form. And that's the reason why the GFS has this rather larger snow shield. Even has some of the darker blues there over New Jersey and Long Island come Sunday evening before it moves away during Sunday night and into Monday morning. Now this option would obviously spell a greater snowfall, but everything is a little bit further to the east than last time, and that would suggest that it would behave the same way, just shift everything a bunch of miles eastward. So any big snows, you probably would say that perhaps southeastern New England might be at risk for bigger snows. Again, this is just pure speculation. I'm just literally taking it off the model. I'm not going to argue against it because the spreads are so wide. Then you have the Canadian, which was really
Oh,
bizarre,
whoa.
and I'll show
Yes.
you why with the upper air first. Oh, I didn't want to do normal anomaly. There's nothing normal about me. Uh, so here's your here's your upper air on the Canadian. Now the Canadian decided that this feature coming down from the north was going to come down in a really vigorous way. Excuse me. I got something caught in my throat. A piece of dust from Mr. and Mrs. W.C. Ridgway of Hollyhock, Virginia. So anyway, it's got this vigorous cutoff in the Southern Lakes, and it gets even more vigorous as it moves east. But the problem with this is that upper low literally would probably mean that development of any kind of coastal system, and there probably would be an important one, would be happening very close to us. A little low starts out in Virginia, but you see how it's got sort of a hole of, no precip, Joe, hardly any precip from southern New England down into Maryland and Delaware. It's either offshore or on the northwest side with the upper low. Then it just kind of fills in, but we'd get almost nothing. Actually, the Canadian actually has rain over much of New Jersey, Long Island, the lower Hudson Valley, and southern New England, and then it pulls away and gets really strong east of Boston. This would be a pretty sizable snowstorm. Might actually put Portland ahead of it, put some distance as they move ahead of Atlantic City in the snow capital race for the Northeast. And then it's a deep low that winds up going up over Nova Scotia and eventually over to Newfoundland. So I don't know. I thought this was overdone, bizarre, and too far to the north. I just didn't accept the notion that you're going to have a wrapped up multi cutoff up in the lakes moving straight east pretty much and going into northern Pennsylvania, upstate New York. I could be wrong. I know Timothy Veltman, who might be still on, I know he was on earlier, probably saw the Canadian today and was jumping up and down with glee because he's been uh, he's been in a relative snow drought where he is up in the Albany area. But that's our friend the Canadian. And what was the other one? I said the GFS, the Canadian. What was the other? And the European.
Icon?
Well, we could do the icon.
What's the icon?
Let's do the icon. So the icon,
I mean, if people who are desperate look at the icon.
yeah. Well,
Well, maybe.
I
Well, maybe.
I look at it because sometimes it does give you a clue as to what the European's going to do on the next run. Didn't work today, but sometimes it does. Actually, the icon um, has, this is where you might wind up with something moderate where you get a low that forms off the Delaware coast and then just kind of starts to intensify as it goes northeast, and we catch a little bit of the blossoming of the snow. And you notice that the icon does generate that light blue area there. It doesn't produce a ton of snow here, but this could certainly be several inches or more. And then the low really gets going as it moves out to the northeast. The the jury is still out on this. I just want to really quick, Joe. Let me just pull up the RGEM. I want to get your opinion on this. So I looked at this. Now the RGEM is going to take us to 1 o'clock in the morning on Sunday. So this is what the surface looks like. Okay, a low in west central North Carolina, and the Arctic boundary looks like, if you draw it from the isobars and where the thickness is, it looks like it's in southern Delaware, into the low, and then extends down into the Gulf states. That's the surface. Now here's the upper air that goes with it. And I saw this and I thought, whoa, that's a pretty dynamic looking upper air. It looks like, there's a cutoff low in northern Illinois, and you have this really strong jet that's coming from Minnesota down through Iowa and then swinging around the bottom. I mean, it looks like it wants to dig and dig further south. So I kind of looked at this and I thought, that kind of opens up that opens up a different kind of door as far as what could happen on Sunday and Monday. So I don't know what do you think?
Almost looks a little bit like 1978, doesn't it?
Well, it does. It does, doesn't it? I looked at this and I thought that actually popped into my head. But this is a really vigorous and fairly far south upper low, and that strong jet coming down suggests to me that it really wants to dig further southeast. We'll see if this was a one run wonder or not, but that puts that possibility.
And you often talk about how the Canadian, not necessarily the RGM, but I mean the Canadian in general, that there are some storms where it catches on to something unusual early in the game, and all the other models are playing catch up because they were the Canadian was the first one to eke it out, so to speak. So wouldn't it be funny if that were the case now? That
Well, you know what, the
we had
RGM.
a digger, so to
Well,
speak.
the RGM did a pretty good job with the. Why can't I not get the? Oh, today's Thursday. No, today's Wednesday. I'm trying to get the 18Z NAM up because the 0Z just started, so we don't have enough of it out yet. And I want to go to the NAM 84 hour. Um, and even here too on the late afternoon NAM, I guess Levi must be getting a lot of traffic. Everybody must be in there looking for the NAM already. Now look at this. Look at the trough. Look at the trough on the 84-hour NAM, Joe. It's now it's this is for 6Z Sunday morning, 1 a.m. I mean, what is it doing all the way back in Minnesota and just kind of curling down into Iowa? I mean, it looks like it wants to dive pretty far to the west. And there was one run, a couple of runs, one run of the Canadian, a couple of or two runs ago, where it actually had this first thing going out underneath us, and then a second trough that comes that when the whole trough swings around. In other words, this piece here, okay, this piece runs out ahead for Sunday. And then we sit. Then you wait for this piece to come around, which really didn't get to the East Coast until Tuesday, and the Canadian had some kind of low developing off North Carolina and Virginia that it took out just underneath southern New England and New Jersey on Tuesday. Now, I mean, you look at this and you wonder if this trough is going to be here Sunday morning back from Minnesota down into western Iowa and Nebraska. How's it going to be off the East Coast Monday morning? I mean, that's a that this opens a different kind of door. I don't know if it's just, again, it may change on the next run and catch up to the others. I'm not sure. Bill Goodman said that he gets to look at the NAM extended. I didn't even know there was a NAM extended, but apparently it kind of matches up with the GFS and the European, which the late afternoon GFS, by the way, looks like the European. It was much flatter. It takes a low out. We wouldn't get very much other than what we would get with the upper trough. So you're, I was hoping that by today we'd have them at least tightening up. Instead, they've all gotten wider in terms of the spread of
Yeah.
what could happen. So you're right. We're probably going to have to give it at least another 2 days before before things settle. Because then it's only then that we really start to look at, well, is it going to track further west? Because when it makes that westward move, it's usually inside the 60-hour time frame, and we're not going to get there until we get to Friday. So um, isn't this fun?
No, it's not.
It isn't. I didn't think so. Okay, why don't you share WPC's map? Let me open up the share. I have to click the share screen thing. So I just clicked the share screen, and hold on, I have to do one more thing because I always forget to do this. And I don't want to forget it today because that would be, that would be not a good thing. I got to bring us back up. So now you could put it up there.
Yeah, righty. And this is the risk of heavy snow dated February 17th to February 23rd. Actually, there's a slight, this area right here. Can I make this bigger? Yeah, I can. And let me move this over a little bit. There we are. All of this area that's encompassed here by this dotted area, slight risk for heavy snow, February 17th and February 18th. And if I do my calendar is correct, that's next Thursday and next Friday of that possibility, or showing that possibility. Notice, if you will, that the immediate New York City metropolitan area is not in that area, in that hatched area, or that stippled area. And in addition to that, we also could look at, hang on, at the slight risk for excessive high winds. Now, this is interesting because it's got everywhere out to the Midwest and points east, all along the Atlantic seaboard for unusually high winds. I do know we have some kind of a system that's supposed to be coming through. It looks like more like, not a storm, but it looks like kind of like a front
Yes.
around the 17, 18. Then we have some kind of a tightening of the gradient behind that for the 18th and the 19th. So that's what they're looking at for later on next week. So we'll see how that pans
Actually, the
out.
gradient behind it is very little. The gradient ahead of it on the 18th looks pretty tight, like a south southwest wind, a screaming south southwest wind, with a big high offshore, and the front in between, and another big high on the other side. I'll bring the map up. At least the latest GFS had this. I'm going to go to the 12Z just to, you know, the 18Z run is annoying me today for some reason.
Tom Contino is apparently upset that in the snow map, Long Island is not in the zone that was outlined by Climate Prediction Center. Well,
Actually, it
you know,
was.
what are we talking about, Tom?
What it,
No, it wasn't. It was just a little to the north and west.
on
I mean,
oh
like as I said,
on your
the New
map.
York City
On your map.
on the risk map,
Oh,
on the
on the
risk
risk
map.
map.
Yeah.
I thought he meant the WPC map. Which, by the way, Eastern Long Island
No.
was also in that 30. I neglected to mention that Eastern Long Island was in that 30 to 50% zone on the WPC map. All right, so here's what the GFS looks like for the end of that next week. Uh, so there's just right, so you can see the WPC had Eastern Long Island there in it. But yeah, look at the gradient. This is on the 18th, Joe. So I mean the gradient is pretty tight ahead of it. It's kind of tight. It's on the well. It, I don't know if I'd call it tight behind it, but on the 18Z run, there was hardly any gradient behind it. But this is basically just a cold front, because the next after this this system goes by, whatever it does, the next high goes off the Virginia coast. We get southwest winds, ridge off the east coast, and here comes the next cold front that moves along. And just looking at the long range, I mean, there is a cold high that comes down for Sunday the 20th, just cold air spreading out, and then that goes away. And I mean, most of the action shifts in the west because I think on this run it had a trough in the more of a trough in the west and more of a ridge in the east. But of course, on the 18Z run, it did exactly the reverse. It's got a strong ridge
Yeah.
in the west and a deeper trough in the east. So much for the long range. Why don't you just cover all your bases? And I guess from the standpoint of the teleconnections, probably the most important one is going to be the Pacific North America Index because the NAO is just a non the North Atlantic Oscillation is not even a factor. And you'll notice, and this is off the 0Z runs of last night. The Pacific North America Index actually goes negative around the 16th, 17th of February, except for two members. All the members are negative, and even one of them is, I wouldn't call it strongly negative, but let's call it somewhat negative. So that favors, from the 0Z run, it favors us going into the ridge position in the east and trough in the west. However, I did see, and I'll come back full screen, Joe. I did see something from Judah Cohen, who watches the machinations up in the stratosphere, saying that basically what's going on up there, that's been going on uh, for quite a few weeks now, is probably going to continue. And we get into these periods, we get into these rather short periods where the polar vortex shrinks, and in terms of the geography coverage, it tightens up, so all the cold air stays up to the north, and then it stretches and it drops a trough back into Canada and into the United States and into the east. And he says, I mean, from that standpoint, that would suggest that if we do see a pattern relaxation, that it would be temporary and that we would maybe go back to something colder and have some more snow chances later in the month and going into the month of March. I can't believe we're already talking about the month of March. Here we are, February 9th. So 10 days of an already short month are just almost 9 days of a almost short. I'm pushing the to 10 already. 9 days of a short month already gone. But big sort of shrug my shoulders. I don't know where this is all going to wind up down the road. Eventually, it has to get
You
warm
should
and
have.
the snow stops. That's going to happen. It happens every year. It's going to happen again.
It's a funny thing. I looked at the CPC to look at the risk factor for 8 to 14 days out. I didn't even take a look at their temperature prognosis, and I'm looking here. Let's see.
You can share,
They have
by the
near
way.
normal for the Northeast.
You can share if you want.
All right. Let me. I've got so many maps that are open right now because I've been looking at my own. Let me see. Hang on. So here and then, there we go. So let's see for the 6 to 10 day outlook. As you can see, they have projections of near normal here in the Northeast, but a large area across the nation's midsection into the Southeast, encompassing your area too, Joe, of above normal
Yay!
temperatures for the 15th through the 19th. And then for the 8 to 14 day outlook, my God, well, look at this. Now, this type of map looked very much like the map for February.
Right.
This is the one where I remember Lee Goldberg was showing a map like this and telling everybody, "Don't worry, February is going to be an above normal month. We don't have to worry about wintry weather and all that sort of." This finally looks like this is for the 17th to the 23rd. So maybe during the second half of this month, 17th. That's a week from tomorrow. So we'll be looking at, and this is not just above. This is like, let me see here, percentages wise. It's 1, 2, 3, and this would make it 1, 2, 3. So it's a 50 to 60% chance of above normal temperatures, probability of above normal. As far as precipitation is concerned, for the 6 to 10 day, look at this. This is a lot of wetness. Whoa! Look at all that out wet, especially in the nation's midsection, from Oklahoma up to almost the lower Great Lakes. That's for the 15th through the 19th, and then on the 8 to 14 day outlook, what do we have here for precipitation? Still above normal. So, according to the Climate Prediction Center, we're going to be in line for a protracted spell of above normal precip right on through. But with the trend for near or above normal temperatures, the suggestion would be that not much of this would be in the form of snow lovers. So sorry about
Well,
that.
it's no guarantee. They don't always hit them out of the park over there. So, not a criticism, just an observation. As you said, they had the warm up already here, and it hasn't happened yet. I think the storm from I've been saying that the storm of the January 28th, 29th, uh, altered the pattern a bit in Canada, and that sort of delayed everything by about a week to 10 days. And it's kind of playing out that way, and we'll probably get to that milder scheme for a little while. Barry Goldberg hitting Super Chat tonight in a nice way. Thank you, Barry. He says, with Joe and Joe, there's no need to watch another weather show. Okay. I don't think Joe and I will argue with that particular point. We've got 200.
And also Jason Kaplan. Jason Kaplan also hitting Super Chat tonight. Thank you very much, Jason.
And
yeah, we've had
go ahead, Joe. I'm sorry.
We have 130 likes, Joe. We have 130 likes, 265 watching now, and about half of those hit the like button. So thank you very much to all of you who did that.
Yes, thank you. So let's do a little Briller Jeopardy and uh, wrap up the show so that we could save our strength just in case that you and I have to be on Friday and Saturday again.
No.
No,
I don't want to.
I don't want to either.
No.
Well, if we are
Saturday,
if we are on, I'm going to be in a different location Friday and Saturday. So,
well, I'm going to be in a different location on Saturday. I'm going into the Bronx to visit my mom, as I always do at or just before Valentine's Day. It's a special weekend. Valentine's Day on Monday, and we have Super Bowl Sunday on Sunday. Not Super Bowl Sunday this year does come on a Sunday. By the way, I saw somewhere this could be, although it doesn't make any sense because the game is being played in a stadium with a retractable roof, but the temperatures outside on Super Bowl Sunday may be near record. I mean, upper 80s to near 90 in Los Angeles this coming weekend. So there you go.
Oh, by the way, that reminds me from last night, that one question that got me confused. I guess I interpreted it the wrong way about the coldest day. For some reason, my mind immediately went to the average temperature for the day, so the high and the low. So I was thinking about that, brought up the whole thing about the 15 below, that it would have to have gone to 23 in order for it to have been the coldest day and match the number. But he was talking about the lowest high. So the lowest high was
The lowest.
4. I forgot what year it was, but the lowest high was 4 above zero for the month of February. So anyhow, you got the questions tonight, and hopefully I'll have the answers.
All right. Well, this is up your alley. This is for Mr. Cioffi, 7 out of 10 for him to go to Hollywood. Categories old
Hollywood.
Movies. Yes. And then I guess in honor of the announcement of the Oscars. Number 1, what 1927, we're going way back, Joe.
Wings.
What 1927 musical was the first talkie?
The Al Jolson movie. Oh God, what the? I just watched something today about that. The Jazz Singer.
The Jazz Singer, yes. How about number 2? Who played juror number 8 in 12 Angry Men?
Juror number 8?
Correct.
I'm trying to think if that would be E.G.
A better question would be a better question would be who played Chanel number five?
Yes. Um, so in my mind, I'm going to narrow it down to Jack Klugman and E.G. Marshall. Of course, I don't, I never really, I've seen the movie many times, and yet I've never really assigned made the match between the actor and I'll say Jack Klugman.
Henry Fonda.
Oh, it was Henry. Henry
He
Fonda
was
was
number.
juror. I never knew he was juror number 8. Now I know.
Now you know. The theme from The Third Man
Oh God.
was played on what instrument?
Oh. Yeah. Oh God. Stop. Whatever they played it on.
Harry Lime is not going to like this. Yeah.
The music in that movie drove me absolutely crazy. I mean, it's a great movie. It's the black and white imagery, the story, the whole plot, everything else. Great movie, great acting, but the music just drove me to drink. Oh, I forgot the name of the instrument. I don't think it's a well-known one.
First of all, the show or the movie was actually also a radio show, an old-time radio show starring Orson Welles, and the theme from The Third Man was played on a zither,
Yes,
which is kind of like a small version of a harp.
yes.
Yeah.
And I hope they chucked it out after it was done, because God, that music that just drove that just drove me crazy.
What Alfred Hitchcock film received the most Oscar nominations with 11?
I would say, well, he won the best. Rebecca won for Best Picture, and Foreign Correspondent was also nominated the same year. So between them, they ate up a bunch of nominations. But Rebecca won for Best Picture that year. So I'll say Rebecca.
And you were right. Rebecca with 11 nominations.
Love that movie.
Congratulations, Alfred Hitchcock. Yes, they especially liked it down in Sunnybrook Farms.
Yes.
Um,
Different Rebecca.
Okay. The stage play Everybody Comes to Rick's became what
Casablanca.
1942 Best Picture? Yeah, okay. Right, sweetheart. Um, what was the first movie to win the Best Picture Oscar?
I'm gonna say Wings.
And you will say right.
Okay.
Very good. What movie won the most Oscars without winning Best Picture? And here's the hint for that: 1966. Won the most Oscars, but it didn't win Best Picture that year.
66. Oh God. I'm trying to remember. Yeah, you know what, Joe? I'm drawing a blank on this one. I'm really drawing a blank on this.
Life is a
Cat.
life is a
No, that wasn't
cabaret.
66. Cabaret was not six.
Cabaret.
Cabaret
That's what.
Cabaret was not 1966.
Are you disagreeing with the chairman
No,
here?
Cabaret was 1972 or 73, but it wasn't. It wasn't. It was the same year as The Godfather. Cabaret.
Maybe I'm not pronouncing correctly. Maybe this is not cabaret. Maybe it's cabaret. That's what it was.
No, hold on. It did not win Best Picture. Um, is that what?
I'll read the question again. What movie won the most Oscars without winning Best Picture? Hint: 1966.
Hold on.
And he's got cabaret here.
Nope. 1966. The Academy Award for Best Picture went to The hills are alive with the sound of
Sound
music.
of music. All right.
So in so
Okay.
anyway, yeah, that was 19. The Sound of Music. So 1970, Cabaret was in 1973. And it went up against The Godfather. And if I remember correctly, The Godfather won Best Picture, and but didn't take the acting awards. Cabaret took the acting awards and a bunch of others. So he might have gotten the year wrong and the movie right. So it'll be 1972 or 73. I forget which one. But go ahead.
Well, I'm sure he'll come back and send us an email to explain what he was looking at. Anyway, number 8, what is the highest grossing movie including inflation ever?
Including inflation?
Including inflation.
Well, for a long time it was Gone with the Wind. I don't know if that's true anymore.
Well, that's what he's got
Oh,
here.
it's Gone with the Wind?
That's what he's got.
Okay. No, then it may still be true. Okay. Gone with the Wind. I got it.
Okay.
I got it right.
Num-
Scott
okay.
says
Number
he's
9,
getting
how
old. He's
many
62,
Oscars?
by the way.
How many Oscars has Meryl Streep won?
She has won a Best Supporting for The French Lieutenant's Woman, a Best Actress for Sophie's Choice, um, a uh, Best Actress for Thatcher. So I'm going to say 3.
And that is the correct
She needs
answer.
one more to
3.
tie Katharine Hepburn, who has 4.
Hmm. I wonder why she didn't win for. Did you think that she played an exceptionally good role in Kramer versus Kramer with Dustin Hoffman?
Oh, I'm sorry. You know what? I think she did. My mistake. I think she did win Best Supporting for Kramer versus Kramer. I don't know why I said the French Lieutenant's Woman. She was nominated for the French Lieutenant's Woman. I think she won Best Supporting for that, and then she won her 2 Best Actress for Sophie's Choice, which is a really difficult movie to watch, and also for the movie about Margaret Thatcher. But so
Okay.
my mistake. You're right. She won for Kramer versus Kramer. Izzy D just hitting the tip jar. Thank you, Izzy. Good to see you here.
Number 10, when Judy is transformed into Madeline in Vertigo,
Yes.
she is bathed in what color light?
Oh my God. I could see it in front of me. I've seen Vertigo a lot of times. It's funny the things you pay attention to and the things you don't. Uh, you know what kind of light? Is it a color?
What color
Oh, what
light?
color?
Yes.
Um, you know what? I'm trying to visualize it. I don't remember. I'm trying to say I'm thinking white, but I'm thinking that's not right.
No.
Mauve. I don't know. Chartreuse. Aquamarine.
Green.
It's green.
Green.
I wonder. I
Right.
wonder.
But that was only because when she transformed into Madeline
Right. Or Madeline.
or Madeline in Virgo, the only reason that she transformed into Madeline and turned green was that she was suffering from the Goldbloots.
Oh, the yes. The thing about Vertigo is at the time it came out, it was not received very well, and over time, it's really gained a lot of it's become a classic. And I can attest to the fact that and I love Hitchcock. I've seen almost every Hitchcock movie there is and multiple times. But Vertigo, for some reason, the first couple of times I watched it, I didn't care for it. I really didn't. And then I started to then I started to pay close attention to what was going on, and the movie's is genius. It really is. He really that's a very very deep psychological movie. There's a lot of crap going on, and it's so many levels. And I didn't really. I probably had to watch it like 10 times before I finally hit me how good it was. So anyway, that's my little never to be humble opinion.
I'm gonna skip the bonus questions tonight because I would to cut this short. But I do want to say one thing that is also something Scott sent, that today marks the 152nd birthday of the National Weather Service, and the NWS, in fact, patting itself on the back and saying we could not be more proud of the thousands of dedicated NWS employees that have or and will have served this country through the protection of life and property in the past, present, and future. Thank you all. And may I also add, thank you to Mr. Cioffi, who at one time interned at
Yes.
the National Weather Service and probably read one of the most memorable weather discussions in the history of the Weather Service when he was reading the discussion the night before the blizzard of 1978.
Yes, that was me. That was my voice. That was me.
Yes.
Yes. My claim to frame. Claim to frame. My claim to fame.
Who wrote that? Now, who wrote the
Mike
discussion? Was that
Mike Fame.
Mike Fain?
Mike Fame. God rest him. What a
Yes.
lovely man. God rest him. All right. So you know what? We're not going to gain anything new, and I have no desire to stay on the air for another 18 minutes to find out what the new NAM did. So guess what? You'll have to wait till tomorrow for that breaking news. By the way, those of you who are on my free weather app, the meteorologist Joe Cioffi weather app, it has been working today in full. It's only been partially working up until now because of the hacking attack that my website got over the weekend. Still recovering from that. This is sort of the last issue, which is to fix the homepage and the video page. So usually uh, there are folks that watch our show from there, but I haven't been able to do that because I don't know if the page is going to be up or not. Support is working on it, but it's been up more than it's been down today. So hopefully I'm going to get an email anytime now that says your problem has been solved. So there. All right, so tomorrow.
And thank you to Izzy D for hitting super chats
Oh,
twice
very good.
in the last 5 minutes.
Um,
Yes.
Thank you. So, 164 likes. Thanks very much for those of you who like the show. You know what? I'm Joe. I'm exhausted, and you're probably exhausted from your talk. I think it's time we'll say goodbye. We'll back to 7:30 tomorrow,
Yes.
and God willing, we won't be on Friday and Saturday. But if there is a storm, I'm guessing that we will be on Friday. If we for Saturday, are you going early or late in the day to your mother's?
We'll probably be going in the afternoon, late mid afternoon. We usually get home around I don't know 7 or 8 o'clock. So we'll let that hang in the
Okay.
air depending upon what happens.
Okay, because I mean,
We'll figure we'll
I'm
figure
okay if you
something out.
wanted to do something early during the morning, or if you want to do it when you get home, or if it turns out you can't do it, then you can't do it, and then we'll be together on Sunday, and I'll just go solo. So how's that? Okay. All right, folks. So we'll see you tomorrow at 7:30 Eastern. Nighty night, everybody.
Night.